Hey, I'm Kev Kermascon. Welcome back to MotoGP 20, but a bit of a different sound, isn't it? As we're riding the MotoE bikes, finally, after they got updated a couple weeks ago into MotoGP 20, and after watching the opening round of the MotoE World Cup from last weekend, pretty interested to try these bikes out around this Jerez circuit as we're the E-Pole session at the moment. So, all the riders get one lap to go for pole. So see how we can do. So against still maximum level opponents, like this game is easier than the previous couple with difficulty. So plebs like me can actually race at this level. And we've got the 100% distance, so 8 lap race rather than the 6 they had at the weekend. I guess it's back when they had a full calendar. And races were a bit longer. Was it 6 laps or 8? I can't remember now. I still can't get used to the thing. Because at the top it says like laps to go. But in the bottom right, it has like the hashtag for the race. And then it has, you know, lap blah 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 blah. Like, it was 6 or 6 actually. Thinking about now. But yeah, that's the one thing I don't get with the new graphics. Apart from the timings as well. And then the font size as well. Like, you got a massive font for the gap difference, but not for the time. So that can be a bit confusing if you actually want to know the time of the lap a rider is on. Of course, you don't have that issue in, you know, this game because they didn't see timing. Actually, I'm hiding the time with my camera. So we're about to do a 44.6. That's a bit poor.
To the qualifying session for deciding pole. The results that you're looking at now don't just show us the grid positions, they also give us an idea of what the riders will be capable of in tomorrow's race.
So I've done some practice for this race. I did at least like 5 laps in time trial. I did a mid 43, getting towards the low 43s, which is around like top 30 in the world, but hardly anyone has, you know, done a lap. So being in the mid 44s is a bit disappointing. Has he got Castadelli on par ahead of Simeon, Granado, Bradley Smith. You can know they haven't bothered to update stuff, have they? Well, in the beginning of the season, we've got Agata, Ferrari, Macon, DeAnges, Soccorni. And if we scroll down, we've got Medina, Mayo, then Canapa, Demiglo, Josh Herc, Roddy Torres, Spanish Elvis, Cardos, Tulovic, and then we've got Herrera, and we're being Dominique Agata, my favourite Moto2 riders of all time, as it's nice to see him be a bit competitive in MotoE as well. As top 5, let's see what we can do in the race. So you don't have to mess around with energy levels, that's all kind of standard. You don't have to mess around with the tyres though. So, I like that front end being soft. But the tyres are really grippy in 20 compared to 19. And I'll talk about the handling differences as well, as we'll just go standard soft medium. As let's see what everyone else has chose. Hard medium for Simeon. Soft medium from Smith. Good man. Seems like soft medium or medium. So hard medium from Simeon's a bit of an outlier. Same for Tuli as well. We've got 18 riders on the grid. As we rev it up. Well, not really. We just wait for the lights to go out. And we're underway with MotoE in 2020. And this first corner is a very tricky one to get right. As the braking for MotoE is actually pretty similar to MotoGP. Lots of rear brake. It's used as... Oh, that's a dive from Ferrari. He's down. Is he a inaugural MotoE World Cup winner? Has he got some light damage? Getting another rear wheel of... We're about to find out. Soccorni with a great start into the top 5 for the Italian as we're ahead of Mike Demeglio. One of the favourites for the 2020 crown, as we've got a few familiar faces. We've got a couple of new riders as well, such as Agata, who's come across from Moto2. And maybe a welcome crossover for Agata as well. He's had some difficult years in Moto2 as... Oh, that's a bit tough. And oh, Soccorni down. Must have clipped the grass on the inside. That's the Italian. As we're into the top 5 then. Just opening that. So halfway through it's Moreira, Daniel Cardus. Only female rider in the field. Returning for a second season. Such as like Josh Hook as well, Axel Angis, Ferrari. Granado is the favourite for the championship as well. Domingo past us. Got Mayo behind. And that definitely seemed to prove the way in the first race of MotoE as well. Where Granado was just a step ahead of anyone. Like, the Brazilian was... He's trying to make up for last season where... Oh my god, we got dive bombed. Fantastic. Where he was perhaps the fastest rider last season in the inaugural season, but just made too many mistakes. And so he lost the championship to Ferrari, who's just consistent. Like, it was only a 6-race championship. Like, all you have to do is finish, basically. Did Granado, and he probably would have won the championship. But he had falls in Austria, from what I remember. And early on in the season, like, he was always on the back foot throughout the championship. Now that he's got a win early on, and we've only got 3 venues we're visiting. Like, we've got 2 races at Jerez, we've got another one this weekend. We got races at Le Mans, which MotoE's never gone to. And in races at Mazzano as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out, because that is very wide. Might allow Deanne just to get behind his Premac. As we're on the Dyna Volt with Agata. Oh, Deanne just round the outside. Oh, we're getting dive bombed everywhere now. Here comes Medina. Trying to use lots of rear brake. So yeah, for the Brazilian to win the first race, he's going to be leading from the front. Like, if he gets another win in Jerez, like, it's going to be difficult to beat him, to be honest. Because only 7 races in the championship. That's why it's a World Cup instead of a World Championship as well. It just races in Europe. Like, they don't race in any other continent at the moment. It's not like MotoGP, like in Asia and the Americas as well. And the Oceania for Australia. So we get to know the Angels rear wheel. There we go. Mid 43s in the race from Macon. Or Marcon. As we get a quarter-second penalty there for cutting the grass. We're just helping the circuit owners, you know. Doing double duty here. But yeah, behind him, it was exciting to see the likes of Agata and Tulovic as well, who rides in the European Moto2 Championship. No, do superbly, like, especially as someone who's followed Agata throughout his Moto2 career. Like, he grew into one of Suter's best riders in the early half of the last decade in Moto2, like in the first 5 years of Moto2. Like, he finally got a victory in Germany, and it looked like he was, you know, stepping up to be a championship contender, but then he moved on to a Calyx in 2015 after that very successful season, and it's just never was the same for him in Moto2 after that. Like, in the first 5 seasons, including this one, he's ridden a Calyx, a Suter, a KTM, MV Agusta last season, and now he's riding a MotoE bike. Like, 5 different manufacturers in 2 categories. Like, I don't think many riders can boast of that. I'm not sure it's boasting. I think it's just, you know, him trying to find something to be competitive on, and hopefully in MotoE will prove to be that, as he qualified on the front row, but had a poor start in the race last Sunday. Like, dropped outside the top 5, but he pulled himself back, and he's perhaps up there with Granado in the last couple of laps, like pace-wise, along with Ferrari, and he was all over Ferrari in the final lap. Just, unfortunately, could not get quite close enough to make a move. So, grab and podium is opening MotoE race. Superb draw from Dominic Agata. Hopefully we'll see much more from the Swiss rider in the races to come. Like, I don't think it'll be a title contender, as I think Granado is a step above everyone else in MotoE this year. But I think here definitely finish maybe top 3 in the championship. We have to look to Matteo Ferrari, who grabbed a very solid second place over round, the reigning champion as well. He's, was pretty damn good as well in the race. Like, he dropped back a bit early on, but at the midpoint he was really strong. And then strongest in the first half of the race, apart from Ronaldo, was Tulovic, who almost got pole, qualified second, the young German, and it was very impressive in the first half of the race. He just lost it a bit towards the end. Like, Agata was slightly quicker, so was Ferrari, so he finished off the podium, but still very promising that he could just adapt to a bike like that. So we've got a couple of exciting rookies. Some of the veterans are actually disappointing. Like Tuli, the winner of the inaugural MotoE race, like, he's a bit injured as we head into the second half of our race here. So he wasn't firing all cylinders. So he finished just outside the top 10. Mike DeMegalo is probably the biggest disappointment though. Like, the Frenchman, he won a race last season, if I remember off the top of my head. Should have been, a championship contender. He was way down. He was outside the top 10 as well. Actually, Anges as well was just riding round right on the edges of the top 10 before he jumped the start, which was not very good. And then he didn't serve the 2 long lap penalties. So he got like over a 20-second penalty and finished outside the points in the end by Maria Herrera. So yeah, De Angelis doing well in this race though, finishing in 6th, it looks like, ahead of us. And a shocking race though. But a couple of riders to point out as well, like Jorge Torres, the Spaniard, very popular rider in superbikes. Coming back to Grand Prix racing after many years away, after last being in Moto2, like he had a pretty nice debut. Could have got a top 5 if he didn't make an ambitious move into the Dani Pedrosa corner with, I think it was a couple of laps to go in the last lap, which allowed Castadetti to get 4th place, or 5th place should I say, in the end. So yeah, he looked decent. Xavier Simon was consistent, if not quite matching the top guys. So the Belgian once again will perhaps be up there, like he is in this race. And Canapa as well, very strong in the E-pole until turn 11 where they had a massive crash. He couldn't make much progress in the race, but the Italian looks like he might have some pace in him. If he can just keep it upright in the E-pole, maybe he'll be fighting towards the top this weekend. So yeah, pretty exciting opening round of the MotoE World Cup, and I like the changes they made as well. Like the tyres from Michelin, they've totally redone, like a new construction for the rear tyre. Made it soft on the front tyres, a little bit more torque as well. So the bikes were spectacular going through and out of the corners, like. And like this, just balancing that braking into the corners, like they were sliding that rear. Like the bikes look even more spectacular than last season. Even last season, we had a couple of moments where they, crazy the sliding they were doing. So yeah, it's pretty exciting that they have, brought those improvements for this year. Brought a couple of safety improvements as well. Like they actually make a noise when coming out, when starting up in pit lane. And for the battery as well, they got light. So if it's green, it's okay. If it's red though, it's dangerous. And of course they have the fire extremes, like the safety crew nearby as well, if a bike does crash, like we saw with, was it Salvadori, wasn't it, last season at the Sachsenring in the opening round. So if something like that happens, like they're immediately on the case, and hopefully that will prevent something like we saw with all the bikes catching fire at Jerez last season. So yeah, all good improvements, all looking good for MotoE this season. Very excited to see the remaining 6 rounds of the season. Very excited to see it in MotoGP 20, where the handling it's a bit different. Like it's definitely got the characteristics of MotoGP 20 handling. So again, you're riding on the tyres It feels like the braking is actually slightly less effective. It feels like I'm really pushing the rear brake. But I might have just chosen the wrong tyres. I probably should have been soft instead of soft medium. But yeah, it's just not... Oh, it's not gripping, shall we say. The wheels, it feels like in this race, into the corners. Like I did with the softs in qualifying. So, probably a strategy error on my part, the tyre choice. But the handling's alright though. It's less on the rails. Like I'm doing this with the default setup. I've had to make no setup changes. Like we're probably falling back because of damage as well. When we got into it a bit with the Angius, especially in this race. And so yeah, the bike handles a bit like, say, a Moto3 bike. Which you would expect. Because I know these bikes have insane torque, but, you know, not much top speed. Like, their maximum top speed is around 220 kilometers per hour, so around, what's that, like, just under 140 miles per hour in real life, so... And you can see we're matching that as well, doing around 140 miles per hour on the front stretch there. That's the end to the final lap pit. So yeah, just got to back up the braking points maybe a bit better. But yeah, they do have that kind of balancing on the brakes, balancing the throttle as well at the corners. Like I've been sliding the rear quite a bit. Like you have to be a bit more patient with the accelerator now. In this compared to 19, where 19 was more brake limited for me. Like this is more acceleration, more tyre limited. This game, so especially tyre limited. Like it's all about managing them in the braking zone and then just accelerating smoothly. Because you are sliding the tyres and braking and then try not to slide them when accelerating. I think we've done a decent job this race. We've held back the charge for, where are we now? 7th, I think. Forgotten. We got decent pace this final lap. So we're finally hitting our rhythm on the final lap this race. Good thing it's an 8th lap instead of 6th though. So you know we're matching down just now. Yeah, overall pretty decent. Also, I forgot to mention Medina. Like he was actually decent, like especially in qualifying the second row in the top 5, if I remember. Didn't quite have the race pace. Like he was a victim of Jordi Torres as well, ambitious mover as Castelletti wins. But yeah, pretty good in the game, pretty good in real life, MotoE. There we go, fast lap just around half a second back of Castelletti, wins by under half a second ahead of Simeon. Then we got Granado, Smith, Demeglo, De Angelis. We're in 7th, pretty solid, ahead of Medina. And then we got Tuli, Canapa, Torres, Hook, Tulovic, Herrera and Carduce getting points as Ferrari and Sacconi down on that opening lap as Marcon did the fastest lap. The guy who finished last did the fastest lap. What the hell? 11.5 seconds back. But hey, that's MotoE maybe. Apart from Granado dominating in real life. But yeah, these bikes are pretty fun. Definitely recommend trying them out. As I said, the handling is definitely encapsulated, shall I say, MotoGP 20. Not as the braking issues aren't as bad as like suddenly falling. It's just getting the damn thing to stop. It feels like, so I might have to change the brakes as well. But yeah, pretty good fun. Just like in MotoGP 19, like there were more of the fun bikes to try in MotoGP 19. It definitely seems to be the same here in 20. And as I said, the racing is pretty exciting in real life as well. So thanks for watching. I'll be back with some more MotoGP 20. So I'll see you next time.